I'm not going back to work.
We're just waiting on Brent.
There he is.
There he is. All right,
We're good.
we're good?
Yep.
All right. Let's call to order this evening's Borough of Conshohocken Authority General Meeting for July. Call to order, so let's do a roll call if you don't mind, Jen.
Okay. Christine Bertino,
Here.
Jack Ambler,
Here.
Aparna Chibber,
Here.
George Bass,
Here.
Tina Sokolowski.
Here. All right. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Kick this off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and just as a reminder, we have our microphones. If we want people to hear us, we need to turn them on. All right, do we have any public comment that came in about the authority that we need to have any discussions about? All right. No invited guests this evening, just our agenda items. Okay. All right, do we need an executive session for anything today? Okie dokies. So then let's plow right through. Do I have approval of the meeting minutes from June 24th? First off, are there any questions related to the review of the minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
These are awesome, Shannon.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
All right. We got you. All right, next up is our report section, so our financial reports. Anyone have any questions related to the financial reports as presented in our packet this month?
I had a question on, I don't remember where I saw it, but there was something to, oh, there it is. J. Del Buno, fabrication of 40-foot of flashing. Is there a reason why we would go through Del Buno? Isn't he a roofer?
Yes, that was for the repair of the wall in the watering building. We had to have some metal fabricated for the bottom of the wall, and we don't have a brake to actually bend it, so our staff went to them and they just bent the pieces for us, and we
Okay,
brought them
I
back.
see. Okay.
My question is on the Keystone Engineering, the switchgear rehab and replacement. Is that part of the grant, or is that separate from the grant?
Switchgear replacement is the grant.
Okay.
Yes. That one is, the informal pump station is not.
Okay. And then the McCluskey Mechanical Contractors, service, sprayed down all joints, labor.
That was a repaired gas pipe, a 3-inch gas pipe we had, again in the dewatering building. Took them about 3 days to repair it. They had to get parts, and yeah, our operator noticed the smell of gas, so we shut it down right away. And luckily, McCluskey was already there fixing our air conditioner, so fixed it right away for us.
Okay. Thanks.
I had another question. Is it common that people overpay their bill?
I wouldn't say that it's common, but since we have switched to express bill pay, sometimes the bank is sending it to us and it's not actually ours. It could be the boroughs, it could be, I try to catch them, but people do sometimes pay ours thinking that it's like taxes or something for the borough or.
And so it is customary that we would issue a refund as opposed to holding the money towards their next bill?
Unless they really want to. When it's this high, they usually want their money back.
Okay.
On the liens that we issue, do we lose money as we do these? Like when we're issuing these liens, does it cost us more to pursue them than it does than what they pay in the end, or do they pay our?
No, because when we file these liens, we include the filing fee, the satisfaction fee, as well as any legal costs that go with it. So
Okay.
it is a net zero to the authority. All those costs are paid by the property owners.
What percent is like us compared to legal fees, or
So it depends on the amount that's outstanding. The authority has been really aggressive with this lien program, so we do lien when the balance is, and Shannon, if you can help me out, the exact number, $250. So it's about $250 for the outstanding fees. I'd have to get back to you on the actual cost for the liens, though.
So this, all the fees here for the liens, eventually the authority would recoup them when.
Everything that's listed as a lien, but this is
Everything's listed
all
as a
of our
lien.
bills, but everything that's listed as a lien, yeah,
Everything's listed.
all that would eventually come back to the authority. Yeah, so if you see 136.82, that's the legal fees and the cost for filing and the cost for the satisfaction for a single lien.
Thank you.
Shannon, on the Pico Energy, I see 601 East Elm Street. There's one line item that says removed at $15,493. Is that a negative? Should that be a negative on the invoice amount? I don't understand the removed in the comment section of the descriptor.
I believe that that is just the description that is on our bill. It's
Okay.
not removing anything.
Okay,
There
so
is
that's an
nothing to
actual
remove.
cost.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think that was the last one I had. Oh, nope, I had one more. Herbert, Rowland, and Gubrick, they're our company that works us for stormwater. Is that, do we just have them from the inception of the program and project, or is that ongoing that we would keep them as we plan for the next fiscal year?
Right now, they're our consultant, we're out for requests for proposals as well for them.
And we would want to keep a consultant for stormwater management?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so we would carry that into the
Yes.
next fiscal budget?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the reason why you see that, the bill up this month is I asked for an evaluation of our fees for the future over the next 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
So that was part of the conversation we've had internally. We're doing the budget season, but also with all the new regulations, I'm gonna make sure we're evaluating actually all the way up to 2031 already for the new regulations coming out.
Okay, so we want to keep a vendor consultant on
Yes.
board? Okay, all right, great, thanks.
Any milestones for that coming up? Like, I don't know if they'll ever, I guess they could just join sometimes if they're doing any big projects for us, or, you know what I mean, having someone on, or just, we can report it through you.
I've been reporting whatever is necessary. At this time, obviously, we're trying to build our capital reserves.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot we can fundamentally do right now.
Right,
till we
not
bring
to
it.
spend, yeah.
But at this point in time, the only thing we're evaluating is our fee structure for the future. And that'll be coming out next month when we discuss everything.
Do you have to deal with this with any other utilities, or this is the only one you have to?
This is the first one for me.
Yeah.
And there are other utilities on Fred can speak upon, or even Warren, if you have any other consult, but this is my first.
Where the authority handles the stormwater management?
Yeah.
They're becoming more common, but it is, you know, the Conshohocken has been more on the front edge of this.
There's a bunch of them out in the Harrisburg area that around a little bit longer than the others, but they're all relatively new. And I think almost everyone is in the same gathering wealth stages when they're doing projects, unless they're undertaking existing or planned projects.
Do you help oversee some of their work, or how does that? Okay,
We
so-
kind of split the.
They're separate.
Wastewater is totally separate from the stormwater.
okay.
They're totally separate departments.
There's still some authorities that are working on separating the sanitary and stormwater, because there's still some combined systems out there, so.
And then, since we are at, you know, the 6-month point of our budget, Shannon, I see that we are under budget, our projected budget. We're running at about 41% of total budget. Do we have things that are outstanding that wouldn't be accounted for, or are we doing really well? You guys are just doing really well against your budget.
I don't believe there's anything outstanding that's not the normal
Okay.
stuff. I don't anticipate any huge bills that are,
Okay, good. right, well, that's good work on
Yeah,
your
we're
part, so thank
doing
you
well.
to you guys for
Not
doing,
doing-
managing the budget closely. All right, any other questions related to any information on the finances that we have? Hearing none, I think we need a roll call vote to accept the financial statements into record. Say it again? To pay the bills as well. Yes. Go ahead. So for, yeah.
In the amount of $530,382.79.
There you go.
Pay the bills in that amount.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and then a roll call, please.
Okay. Christine Bertino,
My answer, yes.
Aparna Chibber,
Yeah.
Jack Ambler, George Bass,
Yeah, you're first.
and Tina Sokolowski.
Yes.
Mine should be first, you say.
That's all right. I seem to be on vacation. I forgot about that part. All right.
And then now to,
And now we can have a motion to actually accept the financial report into record.
Make the motion.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is our solicitor's report. We'll turn it over to Lauren.
Thank you. Our report's fairly straightforward this evening, as you mentioned earlier, we
Can you turn your mic on, please?
Sorry. We did file 36 liens this month. We're also working with Shannon. There are a number of very old outstanding liens that we're working on getting satisfied. They would fall outside of what we talked about earlier, because they are, some of them date back to the late 80s, early 90s even. So we're working on getting those cleared up and cleaning up the county records. Other than that, I don't have much in the way of updates. We have been working with the borough regarding the first reconciliation for the stormwater for 2024. So you'll see that next month. But we've been working with the borough on that one.
What does that mean?
So we make estimated quarterly payments to the borough to perform the stormwater management services for the authority, and then there's a reconciliation that happens at the end of the year. 2024 is a little bit delayed because it was our first year, and the borough was kind of cleaning up their records. I spoke to the manager on Monday about what that's going to look like for this year, so, and she confirmed the timing is fine to actually do the payment in August. So, and Brent spoke with her as well, and it sounds like everything is moving forward as planned, so.
I'm sorry, it sounds like an accounting issue.
Accounting, yep, absolutely. So again, we're making these estimated quarterly payments under the agreement that we have with the borough. So if we had overpaid, then the borough would be cutting us a check, but the case is that.
What determines overpay versus,
So there is a very lengthy accounting that the borough,
is it like billable hours and?
it's based on cost.
Is it a whole income statement sort of thing?
Essentially, yes. It's based on the cost of the borough for any capital projects, equipment, personnel costs, supplies, materials, all sorts of things. So there's going to be a full accounting. They're working on putting together the final invoice for the authorities. Again, that'll be on next month's agenda. I do not have that information in front of me.
Is that going to be a surprise?
No, and Brent's been very
We had a
involved in
good
it.
discussion
Okay.
for the last couple of weeks. I mean, it took us,
And the reconciliation for 2024 is, I believe, about $56,000.
About what?
About $56,000 coming from
Which
the
way?
authority, to the borough.
So we used their services more this year than they had planned. Is that maybe, yeah, okay.
That's correct.
So could that impact the budget? So that is kind of an outlier that could.
Yeah, it could be.
It could
I would-
impact the overall budget, but for the stormwater budget, again, we're bringing in the revenue to account for that. So the net to the authority is, the revenue is coming in to account for that money.
so if you look at where, obviously, the way I look at it is our capital reserves had not grown to where we should have been in theory, but keep in mind, we did start late in 2024, right? 2024, we did start late, like a couple of months, so we lost a couple of months of billing, and then obviously it was the first year the borough, who was our who we hired to run our operation and to do their work, had some more expenses. And in regards to, this is part of the evaluation that we did start over the last 4 to 6 weeks, where we're headed with our fee structure. And to be, I'll be perfectly honest, if you look where the fee structure was, that we were at the goal of the board was $10 per month. There was a lot of, this is the old prior board, where a lot of discussion to keep it that. And I'll be honest, it's gonna be, where we're headed is gonna be higher than that. And that's what the facts are.
Well, now you have real data to
We have real
support.
data, and then with the new regulations that are coming out over the next 6 years, what we're gonna have to, the authority's gonna have to do to maintain the system or projects, it's gonna be up to $1 million that we're gonna have to come up with by 2030 in
Yeah,
our reserves.
And Brent and his team have been meeting regularly with the borough to start to try and get a handle on what that is. But to your point, there's been a lot of real data that, so going into this, it was all estimates and, we were kind of, we had a general sense, so the amount that we're reconciling really isn't that much sticker shock to Brent and.
I'll be honest, this was expected. I was expecting by we're already through halfway through 2026, 27, we're gonna have to reevaluate the fee anyway. And now, with these new
Yes.
requirements that are coming up, it's gonna be a necessity. What HRG, our consultant, says, it's gonna be like $1 to $2 million projects that the Conshohocken's gonna have to do by 2031.
Right, and the authority is a co-permittee on the MS4 permit now, so the obligations do fall to the authority. So, again, we're working with borough staff to try and get that number closer to the estimated payment so that the reconciliation at the end of the year isn't as dramatic, but 56,000 was I think less than Brent was initially expecting, so.
Shannon, from an accounting perspective, that should have been a cost then incurred in 2024. So how do you cost that? Do you do a back accrual? How do you account for it in the right year that it actually needs to be
So
applied?
the way that the intergovernmental agreement with the borough is structured is the payment actually becomes due and owing in '25. So it became due and owing in January. So and it's one of the things that we need to talk to the authority's auditor about, just to make sure that there's no
what I'm-
cleaning up on that end, but, yeah.
Because generally you cost accrue it in the other business, you cost accrue it to the year that it actually happened in, not the year that you get invoiced for. So, and it will probably be important for moving forward based on what we're seeing with this.
I was going to say, and this year coming up, maybe we can put the accrual in
Okay.
as long as we get it in enough time to do the DCD
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, and I think that there's been a learning curve for, borough staff as well as us, as we're trying to figure this out in the first year, but, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, the good news is we are running under budget, so we are covered. It's not like we're going to go out of budget to be able to cover that at this point.
Yes,
So,
we have the funds available.
okay.
So other than that, I have nothing in my report. It's a very straightforward report.
Excellent. I'd like to hear that. Any questions for the solicitor's report? Hearing no questions, do I have a motion to approve the solicitor's report into record?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the engineer's report.
Super.
Fred, you're up.
Yep. First thing is the electrical upgrade. So as we reported last month, the design's 100%. We're on budget for the engineer's estimate. We're now preparing the bid documents. I need to get them to the solicitor's office, hopefully by the middle to end of next week. What I'm asking the board to do is if I can get authorization to bid them prior to, because this board's meeting is early this month, and I think next month's actually a little bit later. So I'd like to bid it from August 15th to September 15th, knowing that we have the Labor Day holiday in there. That will keep us on schedule so that we can award it in September, because you guys do have a responsible contractors clause in there, which is like a 30-day review, and there's other things. We have to be substantially complete or have spent the majority of our money, hopefully complete, by September 30th of '26. So Unofficially, I have a month slide in there. I don't want to lose it in bidding, but you never know what happens. This is a complex job for bidding. It's gotten a lot simpler because of the fact that we know now when the construction's going to be. I know I don't have the winter impacts and things like that. So I would look for authorization to bid it prior to your next board meeting, based upon final review by the solicitor's office and the operations staff. But we've already met with the operations staff and reviewed the plans.
Anyone have any concerns with sending out the public bid ahead of time?
Yeah, what risk is us approving it now compared to in a month's time? Is there, I mean,
The risk is that I lose the month.
I was gonna say, well, yeah,
I
it's actually a
lose the
gain.
month. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
you guys are going to be reviewing the detailed plans. I'd be more than happy to upload them, so you guys can see, more probably the bid side of it than the technical side of it, but I will definitely make that available on the portal. At the same time I give it to the solicitor's office, I can give it to you guys. The biggest thing that I'm worried about with the solicitor's office is just making sure that I have all of the grant requirements covered in there, and that I have all of the borough and authority requirements for bidding in there. The reason is, a lot of the contracts that we've done lately have been anomalies that don't fit. They're on a round peg and a round hole. It's been sludge holding, lining, things that don't fit the traditional bid roll. This is about as traditional as you can get. It's clearly, electrical contractors in there, but there is bid requirements, or contract requirements of the grant. So what I'm trying to do is, now that we got the design, we're on budget, I don't want to lose any time, but it's up to the board. Like I said, there's nothing, magic other than I want to be able to sleep next summer and not worried about, because the problem is that you don't know, there's two things that I want to bring up. I don't know if I brought up last month or not, is you never know the delivery time until you place the order. The other thing that, I don't know if I brought up to you guys or not, but that they like to have a 50% deposit on these. I did bring this up to you guys, in there, which is an anomaly thing, but I think we're safe so long as it's delivered to us and it's in our name, and it's just a fact of the industry. So, no, I don't really think there's any risk to you. It just, it keeps us on our schedule. I think we put a not a tight, but a very real schedule out, and I've learned to push more in the beginning of a job. Something's going to go wrong, and I need time. It's an existing facility with a lot of existing things, and we don't know what's behind every panel until I get back there. And there's going to be change orders. When you deal with an existing plant that's 35 years old, there's going to be things that somebody fixed, nobody knew it, and we find it, and we just got to fix it. We got to make it right.
And I would just,
When you say they expect a 50%,
Deposit on the actual material cost.
this
So-
is who gets the award.
Yeah, so when they get the award, and we approve the shop drawings, and they place the order, they are going to put a payment request in for 50% of the material costs, so they can pay the vendor, so the vendor won't release it until he won't release it until he gets 50%. Then once he gets 50%, or then once he ships it, he'll get paid. Now, we're not paying for it the second half until it gets installed. The reason for that is basically because of COVID and the equipment shortage. What happened was, people went out and they ordered 10 of them. And whoever got it first, the second guy's like, hey, your shipment's ready to order, I'm gonna give it tomorrow. He's like, no, I got it last week from somebody else. Now the guy's stuck with it. And these things are, I don't wanna say one-off, but they're kinda, yeah, they're very specific for us. So nobody's gonna wanna have an order. That's their way of getting a commitment that, hey, when we process this, you're gonna take delivery because I got half your money. That's the reality of what goes on. I understand it from both sides, but I just know most authorities say no.
Are we sending the RFPs out to specific providers?
Not necessarily. It all goes out on PennBid, which is publicly bid out to everyone. Do I call certain contractors that I know are very good? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I make sure that it's on their radar. I make sure that it's on there. So I wouldn't call it an invite, but it's an invite. Yeah. But whoever bids it, if they're a bona fide contractor, they meet the bid requirements for this, the good thing is this job's so big, you're not going to get a lot of fly-by-night companies that are just trying to break into it. It's a pretty advanced job, so I think we're going to get the big guys in it. Everyone's doing what I'm doing. Everyone is saying, oh my God, September 30th, and everyone's flying out. That's why I don't want to delay it, because the strategy goes both ways. Normally what I do, if I didn't have the timeline, is I would ask for your authorization, and then I would look and I would see when different bids are due, and I would pick an open slot, or I would pick a slot right after another large job goes out. The reason is, you want the second place guy to get really hungry and chase you, or you want somebody to have time. You don't want your bid due the same time as LCA, Lehigh County Authority's $50 million electrical upgrade. You know what I mean? So there's a strategy there. Here, the strategy is get done, Fred, by September 30th. That's,
Yes, Fred.
that's
strategy.
that's the sole
Getting
focus.
close, I'm sweating.
Yeah, and so am I. And we kind of knew going in, it's just a process, and that's why I've been staying on Keystone. And you probably see it in your bills. They're putting a lot of hours in, and it shows, and they came on budget. That's what makes me happy, so. And they didn't know the budget.
Do we have to accept the lowest bid?
Yes, well, the lowest responsible bid. So it has to be the lowest responsible bid. If you're bonded and you've done 5 projects and you haven't been sued, it's very hard to throw somebody out. But I would be, you never know. I've been shocked.
We are seeing some contractors being sloppy in their bid submissions, and sometimes they forget to include a bid bond or something like that.
That will knock them out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sloppy return on.
Sloppy gets them out, but being the fact that unless someone else has disqualified them or they've been thrown off the job or we have personal experience, if you've got a bond that an insurance company's sitting behind it and you've submitted a correct bid, you're good. On a job like this, what I usually have issues with is somebody makes some math there. It's right in 3 places but wrong in 1. That's where Lauren earns her bucks. Is that a significant deficiency or not? And it always happens with my favorite contractor who gave me a great price and somebody screwed up and wrote an 8 instead of a 2.
And just to double back on one of your questions earlier, this will come back in front of the board to award the bid, so there really is very little risk in pre-authorizing Fred to get the bid out. So it will come back in front of the board.
Great.
Any other questions? All right, so what I'm looking for is a motion of authorization to bid the electronic upgrade on the condition of final approval of the bid documents by the Solicitor's office.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Second item is just an update on the influent pump station. We are reviewing the 90% design plans and preparing a construction cost estimate. I'm putting all of my focus on getting the bid package for the electrical upgrade out. Once that's out, then we'll put this together. I'd actually like to receive the bids for the electrical upgrade and kind of have a schedule, because I don't want these 2 contractors bumping into each other. I would like a continuation project that one guy who gets one gets the other one, would be great. You can't guarantee that, but I got to make sure that I can't have somebody else in the way doing electrical upgrades and transfers when somebody's doing something. So they are separate, they have to be consistent, but my focus, and by design, is to get this one out, get it awarded, get a construction contract, timeline, and then put the other guy in. Because I may have to say something like, you can't take electric down from July to August of '26. So I may, instead of having a 180-day contract, a 270-day contract, or just let them know, because, I don't want them saying, well, I changed, I was planning on doing it here, this is why I bid the job, now I want to be remobilized or anything like that. I don't think that'll happen, but the coordination here is definitely, I can only have so many people's hands in the electrical panel at the same time. So that's in there. The third item on is something that Brett and I have been talking about. It's just an update on the influent organic loading. It does remain elevated through. Brett and I both kind of had talked, and I always look for, let's see if the obvious answers. The obvious biggest change has been the apartments down there. So I think we're gonna concentrate the sampling down in the apartments. I've got a couple other ones where they are just really high-strength organic waste. And that's just because you don't have a family of 4, but when you have a family of 2, you're both washing just as many dishes. But you don't have the dilution of 4 people taking showers that you have in a normal house. You don't have the dilution of 3 or 4 people doing wash for 3 or 4 people. You know, you have that, and you just get all the concentrate because you don't have the dilution. So, and, you know, even though it's smaller number of people in EDUs, are they, you know, is that? So I think they're gonna take a look at some samples down there. I just did a study on another treatment plant, and I was shocked at the impact of apartments. And I'm not casting in there, but I would rather than look for something that we don't, let's look at the obvious thing. And if we can identify it, that's awesome. It is what it is. We just have to know that our sampling is up, and it's not like we're trying to stop somebody from doing something. We know it, we've explained it. So I think we're gonna try to prove a positive instead of trying to figure out who's doing something that we don't know about. Let's look at people we know what they're doing and see that. And then maybe we'll look on the Fayette corridor and see, hey, is it coming from the Fayette Street corridor? You know, whether that be a new business that came on or just the impact of really successful restaurants. You know, awesome. You know, not a bad thing. But if we can figure that out, rather than going into nether reaches, I think there are 2 big things. And, you know, and I'm sure Brendan will expand upon it, but let's kind of focus on that because I would like to be able to know before I do next year's Chapter 94 report so I can explain it that yes, this is why our organic loadings are higher. We've gone out, we've done some sampling, we've identified it here. Is it 100%? No. But this is where 80% of it's coming, we feel good, and we can project out that way.
Would you have not seen it historically when Riverwalk and Londonderry were brought up because they were the first 2? Are you seeing it now because the others were brought up on top of that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's that, and that.
That's that section, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that they have become, you know, there's just a lot more of them all of a sudden. Before it was a gradual thing.
Okay.
And it was also diluted by the other residential and commercial that we've done. Since these guys, I mean, basically, since this happened, Solar West was already on. Really, that corridor has been the only thing that's significantly developed. Yeah, we've had 20, 30 townhouses. That's nothing to us.
You've got Madsen Mill, you've got Equus, you've got 3 of them that came on at the same time, and if you don't have the dilutions. because you have-
Exactly.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
what has also happened is we completed the liner contracts. So our natural dilution that occurred by the leaks in the interceptor, we pulled it out. So I've also looked at that. I was in Idaho for a week and a half, and I killed a lot of brain cells on you guys. And I think it's a combination of the concentrated waste and removing the I&I. You know, I took something concentrated and I removed my the thing that was diluting it. And as a result, I spiked higher because it would have normally gone here, but because I got rid of that I&I came up enough, and it was statistically important. But like I went back through my last couple of years, and we grew a little bit, but we had some wet years, and I mean there were other factors that it wasn't. I didn't bring it up to you guys. It wasn't statistically important to me. This year it was statistically important, so we're just trying to explain it. So I wanted you to know that we are definitely looking at that, because I don't want to be guessing this in November and December and writing something, and I want to know, or say, hey, we don't know the answer, but these are the things. We've eliminated the apartments, we've eliminated the most recent things, and now we're doing a broader investigation.
So this is like an educated guess.
Yes, that's exactly, it's a hypothesis, and
That
we're
is-
either going to prove it or disprove it.
Data is showing this, and this is the theory. And again, I'm just saying this is all theory oriented, because we have a lot to come by with the staff going out, and we're going to really start.
What was the thing that you
It was a Chapter 94 report. I
Yeah,
noticed that.
But you talked about something that you removed.
Okay, I call it inflow and infiltration. So inflow is surface water that enters the sanitary sewer system. Infiltration is groundwater that gets in through the cracks.
When we put the
We-
liner in, we
We did the liner of the big interceptor that goes right down along there. We also found a couple of things in White Marsh that were, everything flows downhill.
Right.
So that was when it had the most, so that diluted. Once we fixed that, it got rid of my dilution factor.
So when you go like this, you're pointing to the main line coming down like.
Well, yeah, I still think I'm in the old building, down along the river.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the area down along the river, down along the river.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
down along the river.
It's pounds of beauty, not concentration though, right? That's,
Yeah, it is pounds. But what's happening is that our pounds are just coming up. So both pounds and concentration went up. If it was just concentration, but the reason the pounds go up is I lost my dilution. So,
that's why your concentration goes up.
Yes, yep. So,
I mean,
people should put so many pounds in. You just have to realize that we have probably 1,800 apartments. So you figure how many single-family houses would it take to make 18 apartments? How many blocks would it take to have 18 single-family houses in Conshohocken compared to what I have on 5 acres down there?
when do we think the organic loading, when do we start approaching like 80% capacity, any?
We're still far away. Yeah, we're still far away, but it's a trend that's going up, and it's something that I need to explain, because what I'm gonna have to do is I will start projecting when I would need to do an upgrade
Yeah, that's exactly-
based upon the organic and not the hydraulic.
Yeah.
Everybody always asks, what's the rated capacity of your plant, how much flow do you have? Now I gotta say, no, I'm running out of pounds. So what would you do? There are ways to treat it that wouldn't require a physical, it'd be a physical upgrade, but it wouldn't require an expansion of the plant. Your MPDS would stay the same, but we would have to do something with additional aeration inside of our RBCs. We have a very cost-effective treatment plant, but there's not a lot of air, there's not RES, there's not a lot of process things I can do. So I have to add mechanical air and pre-treat it. Or we would just, all of a sudden, we're gonna run both primary clarifiers, and we're gonna increase the efficiency of reducing the organic load before it gets in there, and then permit it. The problem is that I need to do something physical in order for DEP to issue me a re-rate of my permit and to modify my permit. So I do have to do some kind of construction. I can't say, well, I'm just gonna use both sides now. I have to do something that would demonstrate it. The good thing is that your plant was designed by BCM engineers back in '89, '88. They were a very conservative company. I'm actually kind of a protege of their process guys 3 generations later. So I kind of have an idea of where they hid their factors of safety, because we've re-rated a number of their plants. I'm doing this right now in the Robozzoni Warnersville. It's also an RBC treatment plant. It's actually where Keith Rose came from, out in Berks County, where we're actually doing a rating of it. The things that you do is in your next upgrade, you could change the type of media that you have in your RBCs, the high-density media. It does a little. The good thing is we're treating it. Like, it's more of a paper analysis and a warning of, hey, let's start to think, so that way I don't have to do an upgrade, but when I have to replace an RBC train, I do it as part of that project. So this is just part of your long-term planning. We're realizing it's no big deal. Like, it happened, I took the jump, I then have a new normal. I don't think I'm gonna get 1,800 more apartments in the next 3 years.
And there's a quick thing, and I'm going to jump my hat to White Marsh. We had a similar situation. Our organic loam was causing our trickling filters to have issues. Same fundamentals, but this is a RBC. I got permission from DEP, which was Jennifer Fields, to add a polyvinyl chloride, which took about 10% of loading off the plant by just adding a chemical up front to precipitate with the primaries.
Yep.
So there's many different things we can do to offset the organic loading to prevent major costs. Like you even said, more aeration, you change a couple of RBCs in the future, but we're just trying to stay ahead of it. And again, we're collecting data, and right now it's just theory, but it's pinpoint to, like you even said, a couple of restaurants, we had high organic loading on Fayette Street, so it's
probably a combination of things: loss of the dilution, the apartments, more successful restaurants. Could there be something out? But I'm doing that, and I have one that's just, it's an ice cream manufacturer. It's just a packaging. That's all they're doing, but the VODs are through the roof, so.
Do we know what percentage of capacity the apartment buildings are at down there?
No, I don't know, because we bill them based on, you know, in there, you know, I don't know if any of them are, but I can,
It would be interesting to see, have our numbers gone up as their,
as their occupancy has gone
numbers,
up, yeah.
yes.
'Cause I think they're pretty close, but I just saw now renting or now leasing on
Yeah.
that one out
Brent, you
there.
could probably get that from
Yeah.
the borough.
Yeah, yeah. And I can,
Only I'm worried about, if there could be more to come too, than if they're
right,
not
I'm
full.
wondering, is the
Well,
number
and-
gonna go
and
higher
that-
as they get closer to 100%?
They're,
Like if
they're
they're
pretty close to
to 100%?
I would think so. That also allows me to look at, in analyzing my projections going forward, I can look at kind of, I'll say, pre-major apartments, post-major apartments, this is the impact of them, so I go up at a different scale, just to project when we have, because the goal here is, I mean, we're at 1.4 million, we have a 3.3 million gallon a day treatment plant, we're rated at what, 2.3 or 2.4, you know, so we have plenty, and that may be a reason to change my permit from the 3, instead of being hydraulically, give it to me all now, you know, let me go up to that, because of that. You know, because obviously, yet, you know, there's somebody in Plymouth Township, there's a building that may be for sale, the steel building may go for sale. That could be a very significant, you know, thing going in there. Any questions on that? I have one last thing to tell you
Is
guys.
this data, this is kind of an aside, provided to like the zoning board so that they are making decisions based on the impact it has on anyone else?
Zoning is more the laws related to land use.
Sewer capacity would not come into play when it comes to zoning issues. Where it may come into play would be on the borough side for issuing use and occupancy permits. But this municipality is not under any kind of connection management plan or anything like that.
It would come into play during the land development planning approval and sewage facilities planning, because I have to say whether it will cause an existing or projected 5-year hydraulic overload or organic overload. So it would be, somebody couldn't get it. You know, they could have all their entitlements except for sewage facilities planning, and we would deny it. You know, if it would cause a projected overload. And that's kind of where I'm just kind of setting myself up for what's going to happen in 5 years. That I don't want to wait until it's that late, because anything you do with a DEP permit and construction is 2 years. So you don't want to have somebody all ready for approval on something the borough wants to have happen, and I say, we got to wait, they got to wait 2 years on the sidelines. I want to start that early, and that also plays into your long-term capital plan.
I guess I'd say, yeah, carbon better than water come into the plant, really, if we had to choose. Could we some way, if you're sending more, right, you put the 2 primaries on, you send more of that to the digestion system, would that be considered a construction? You know, like, could you be like, I'm gonna run the 2 primaries, send more of the organics?
Now,
down
the DEP is going to say you should be doing that anyway. DEP is going to say you shouldn't take one off, you should have both of them on, and they're both permitted already, so it doesn't add anything, you know, as
So
far
you
as.
could do like construction on the AD and say, we need, you know, we're taking another 20% of, or carbon off.
And it's usually something like Brent said, you're adding the chemical to help precipitate it out. And DEP wants an action, something that doesn't exist today, that will exist tomorrow as the reason why they gave you your increased loading. I'm doing this on a really small plant out in Worcester right now. We're literally swapping out a blower. I'm putting the same amount of air in, but I'm going from 5 horsepower, 7.5 horsepower blower, and DEP approved it. Still 55 CFM, but DEP needed a reason. Yep. The last thing, any other questions on that? This is the last thing to let you guys know that I have literally stolen the success you guys have had on your sludge program and probably showed it to 8 of my other municipalities and said, they budgeted $375,000 for sludge. They spent $145,000, $125,000. This is the opportunity that you have through operations by properly decanting and properly doing. Now, these guys are probably, you're never going to be as that, because they probably went from not doing a lot to doing a ton a lot. But I want to let you know that the entire industry is talking about how you guys are, because I said, here's your biggest opportunity, this is your biggest opportunity. You want to spend the time and money, this is where you spend it, and here's the results. I asked Shannon, and Shannon sent me over your audit, and I'm like, guys, this is their audited statements. This is how good it is. So I just wanted you guys to know that the industry has acknowledged the work of your operations staff. And I've used it and said, numbers don't lie. You want to save money and not raise rates, this is what you got to do. So I think that's something that, just the sound bites for you guys to know that the industry has acknowledged it. And it's something that's probably the last thing that you can do to really save money, and make a positive impact on your budget, so it's something to be proud of. It really is. So that completes my report.
Not all these other groups have, Brent and yourself taking care of them, right? So maybe they can't get quite the savings.
Yeah. But it's nice to tell them that I'm like, guys, like, it's not, spending that time decanting makes a difference. Especially where sludge costs are going. It just, you guys got the last of some good contracts. I'm telling you, they're looking ugly. And with PFAs in our system, we can't land apply at a lot of places. Nobody wants it. So they don't want to put sludge out on a field that's got PFAs. So you're stuck with landfill. So now they got a market corner.
All right. Any other questions for the engineer's report? Hearing no other questions, do I have a motion to accept the engineer's report into record?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Fred. Next up is our operations manager's report.
All right, the one thing I was going to talk about was the gas pipe repair, but we already covered that. The other thing was Shannon pointed out a few months ago that our aqua bill our usage was increasing by the month. And it was really, we couldn't figure out why. We were checking the whole plant I think 2 weeks ago I had everybody in every building, every structure. So Brent knew this guy who detects underground leaks. The guy came out 4 a.m. when it was quiet. I think he found it by 6.
Wow.
So lucky enough, I was able to get Bloom and Glen out there that day, and they fixed it the same day. So that's done. I reached out to Aqua yesterday. I sent him an email. I sent him the progression of our bill increasing, explained what happened, because there was no evidence of this leak whatsoever. It was under the driveway. There was no leak, no bubbling, nothing. And I sent them the invoice from the gentleman that found our leak. I said, is there anything you can do to help us? Because we really didn't use the water. And so I was surprised. I got a call last night. They took 15% off. So I think that came to $560 some. So it's not all of it, but something.
Never hurts to ask.
Exactly. That's all. Those 2 things were the only things I had.
Very good pickup, Shannon, on the bills. Subtle, but you found it. That was good.
Yep.
All right, any other questions related to the operation manager's report? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept operation manager's report? Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, anyone opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, the executive director's report, please.
Yeah, just a compliment. Shannon called me immediately when she caught it on the bill. And in 10 minutes, we're moving. So and again, I call my water sniffer comes out. It took him twice to come out to find it, but we did find it. And the key is, and you hear him saying he needs to be at night, is because, and you know how it is, he needs silence even from like 76 can cause his harmonics that he can't hear it right. And even our own equipment running can cause problems. I mean, and he pinpointed it within a foot, so it's good work on his part. To concur with even what Fred was talking about, the biosolids, we had our first meeting with Material Matters. We discussed as part of our budget to determine where we're headed for the future. We're doing some interesting process right now. We're even thickening the digester more, a part of the process with Material Matters, to see if we can do better. I mean, again, it's a science experiment, but we had a good Ed had a good conversation where we're going. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have an understanding what we have to do for the future. You hear Fred say about PFAS. you know, this next thing with the DEP is going to make our next permit.
I have it on permits now.
So you have it, he's seeing it already, we're gonna have it. So again, this is a long-term plan, and we, as I mentioned, the sewer, our biosolids are gonna be up to $300 a wet ton. That's where it's going. And that's expected within the next probably 5 years. So it's gonna, yeah. And we're gonna do everything we can to reduce our quantities, but then obviously, we know the costs go up, hopefully it can stay equal. And if we continue to do what we're doing, or even our costs go up, we'll stay at hopefully today's dollars and reference the costs. As I meant,
You say there's still a benefit to go to Class A? I mean, in that sense, you know, like, if all the biosolids are gonna be contaminated with PFAS and not able to be land applied, do we wanna get to Class A? I mean,
the goal would be obviously to get Class A, because then obviously, hopefully, we don't find PFAS in our sludge, which I would,
What I'm telling most of my clients is if you're a wastewater-only authority, you probably don't have to worry about it as much because the PFAS is going to be taken out of it's in your water. So it's going to be taken, and you're almost all public water. So when your public water suppliers comply with those requirements, by default, you will too. So you don't put PFAS treatment in. Hopefully, they take it out of the water, which in effect helps us.
so then we can still take advantage of a Class A
I
disposal.
mean, I was at just a recent conference or a training session out in Harrisburg with DEP, and in no way they want to stop land application.
No.
They want us to continue to do this. Now, I know it's out to, you know, the big hubs out towards Harrisburg and Berks County, everything, nothing obviously in the southeast, but there's no intent not to try to get us to Class A. And, you know, we're going to try to do some stuff that we can hit Class B. And we're going to do this whole part of this evaluation that we just met with Material Matters to start collecting data.
And you're not far, because it doesn't take that much longer for a truck driver to get to Berks County than it does to try to get to somebody's landfills.
Yeah.
Because of congestion and then the tipping fees. So they're still taking it out, and they have made it very clear that agriculture is still king in Pennsylvania. And that they would rather have that go on the field than fertilizers and chemicals.
Yeah.
And moving, in the month of August, we'll be presenting preliminary budgets. And, I mean, that's what we've been working on the last 2 months. And I think we're ready for August to give our preliminary budgets for next.
Do we need a separate budget meeting, or can we do it within a?
I think we can do it all in one. We can, there's no reason we can't do it all in one. And it includes everyone, like I think we did last year.
Okay. So
And we
can
might
just pull it out.
issue the budgets a little bit sooner so you have time to review them. Not like the Friday before, maybe we'll issue them like a month, 2 weeks out, and then you can start
That would be
reviewing.
helpful.
Okay? We should be able to do that. We should be able to do it in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
That completes my report.
Great. Any questions for Brent? Hearing no questions, so I have a motion to accept the executive director's report into.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any old business or new business we want to discuss this evening? Hearing no old or new business, do I have a motion to convene our meeting this evening?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
To what?
To convene.
Oh, I was looking for the word adjourn.
Adjourn. That's what, I couldn't get that word out, so I said the wrong word.
I'm sorry.
Convene is to start.
Something else. I thought we were done.
I'm still on vacation.
Okay, good for you.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adjourn.
All in
Motion
favor?
carries, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.